Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast, one man's anonymous and live account of if he should get a divorce or stay married. He's been cheated on and he's cheated, protecting the innocent with changed voice patterns, the omission of names, ages and genders. His authentic journey and account of the daily events of his marriage are helping him sort out his feelings and not get lost in the ups or the downs. New episodes are released daily. Welcome to the Divorce Diaries podcast. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else. At Divorce Diaries podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
Strategy is key now. Fucking disgusting. Strategy is key. There are no more phone calls that are being answered by my wife. By me from my wife. Because what's become clear, what I've noticed is everything that I say is being twisted and changed and manipulated to benefit my wife. And I didn't, as usual, I didn't want to accept that truth. I wanted to make the world be what I idealize it as. I wanted to make the world be all parents want the best for their children. And even if it isn't what's best for them, they want what's best for their kids. That's what all parents want. Parents would never put their kids in harm's way. Once I let go of that expectation and that perspective, and I began to realize that there are some parents that will look out for themselves first and not their children, everything changed for me. Once I accepted that my wife wanted to do and will continue to do only what's best for her, that's when I changed. And I accepted the advice from my therapist and my legal team. Only send things in text message. Only text. And only in email or Google Chat, Google Hangout. That is the only way you communicate, because that puts everything in black and white. So if you do phone calls, you could call someone on the phone. And I will have called my wife on the phone and I would say things like, hey, I just want to let you know I've been trying to see the kids, and I'll come over and I'll pick them up whenever they're available. If you could just let them know, or no, I wouldn't say if you could just let them know. I would go with, yes, you want what's best for them, so you're going to let them know. And I would then find out later that my wife would not have told the kids that I called or that I was interested in seeing them. So when she sent out an email or something like that saying, you don't even come and see your kids, I quickly jumped on the defensive and said, like, yeah, of course. Thinking to myself anyway, yeah, I definitely want to see my kids. And I'm not thinking about the fact that, wait a minute. I just called you over the phone. Oh, shoot. What did you say that I said when I called you? My wife's in full control over that. I have noticed an about face in behavior and a complete pivot now that I've put my wife in a position where the only communication that's happening is written. So now I'm seeing her for who she is, because she isn't speaking as vulgarly as she used to over the phone. She isn't abusive as she was. And she has to wear the mask of who she wants everyone to see her as, because it's all written now. She can't send a text saying, hey, I just wanted you to know, happy birthday, and I don't want you to be alone before your surgery. But get on the phone with me and say, hey, you're a piece of shit. Fuck you, you asshole. If you put everything only in text, or you let every phone call go to voicemail, then you don't give the person the opportunity to lie. So that is one tip. So consider this a public service announcement or something like that of some sort. But when you're going through a divorce with your spouse, just put everything in writing, even the dumbest things, because you don't know what they're saying or what they're doing. I talked to my youngest kid just recently, and she said the day that you left, it was so hard on me. I never told anyone this. And I'm like, holy crap. And I forgot because I left very, very abruptly. I left so abruptly because, I left abruptly because I didn't want to introduce any more difficulties or anything like that to my kids. I'm just like, you know what? If I just rip the Band-Aid off and I'm just gone, then that'll be good. I'll call them the next day. We'll hook up for lunch, grab dinner together. I'll stop by every day and say, hey, do you guys need anything from the store? And I'll just bring them the stuff that they need and all of that. That was my modus operandi. That was what I was thinking. When my youngest said, you just left, I'm like, wait, what? That's not how but I'm like, yeah, I guess you would only think that because I never talked to you. And I said, hey, wait, your mom's talked about every other horrible thing with you guys. Has your mom talked about that at all? She's like, no. And I talked to my brother about it. And my brother said, of course she wasn't going to tell them anything because it played to her narrative. So here's the facts of why I left. And why I left so abruptly. Because of an incident that happened with my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife and I. She said, if you don't leave, and I'm not going to get into specifics, but she said, if you don't leave by the end of the week, I'll take legal action. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, I don't know what she'll say, and I don't know what she'll lie about, but I will just do whatever it takes to make her happy because I'm not going to be able to help or see my children if I'm taken away from them. I'm not going to be able to provide for them or myself as I head toward divorce if I lose my job. I'm not going to be able to do any of those things if my wife were to tell lies about anything. And she had already shown that she was going to. So it's like I was accepting half of the truth, but not all of it. And when I immediately told my youngest that, hey, actually, I left because of this and this, and your mom said, you better leave before the end of the week or I'm going to take legal action. I'm like, I knew to myself, I'm like, well, I'm on the lease with you. There's no legal action that you could take. But, and I immediately thought back and I'm like, but what if she lies about something? What if she makes something up and she conjures up a story? Oh shit, maybe I could be fucked up. So I just left with an air mattress and my clothes. That was it. And it was very fast. So when I told my youngest that, she's like, wow, I had no idea. And to hop back to my brother-in-law, my brother, really quick, he's like, the story was able to look like for these many months, your dad just deserted us. You see, he left us all. That's what he did. He left us. And I said, oh my gosh, you're right. It just looked like I deserted them. Even though I was calling every day, I was reaching out, was trying to have a good time with the kids and pick up dinner for them. And I was just gonna overextend myself in every area of my life just to spend time with them. It looked like I deserted them. And because I never said anything to clear it up, my kids have been walking around all of this time with, Dad just left us. And that has never, ever been the case. So it's really good what I've learned to put everything in writing. And when you're in your emotions, you're always going to forget certain things. You're going to forget that you guys you're going to forget certain things because you're emotional. You're going to forget things because, for no real good reason. You're just going to forget them because there's a lot going on and you're going to forget stuff. So you just want to be really careful about all of that stuff and make sure that you say things that you mean, but don't say them with your words. Say them with your fingers in type, text, Google Hangout, Google Chat, leave things in voicemail, send audio messages, possibly something like that. So there can be a record of everything that you have there. That would be the best thing for you to do. But make sure everything can be and is documented, because you'll find very quickly that the bullshitting, lying person that you're divorcing, they'll have to do it where there's a record. And no liar wants that. Liars don't want paper trails.
Wow. That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The daily saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.